Me with Stillmeyer Games, and as usual on Wednesday, I'm here for an hour to answer any questions that you have about pretty much anything, to discuss random topics, and to share Stillmeyer Games news and what we're doing at Stillmeyer Games these days. Today, what do we have going on today? So, you might be joining in because you're wondering where your Wingspan Oceania order is. As we originally advertised and projected, shipping was supposed to start in mid-November. However, we have started shipping some things a little bit earlier than expected. So certain shipments are in progress and are in motion, and certain shipments will start next week or the next week and into December. So our estimate was starting in mid-November and going through December because we have a lot of shipments to fulfill. So we're on track for what we originally projected, and I know you're eager to get the expansion, and you will know when your order ships because you'll get a tracking number. So until you get that email with your tracking number, your order hasn't shipped, but we do have it, especially if you have an order confirmation, and it will be on the way to you probably in November if you're a champion, and then probably in early December if you are not a champion, not a Stonemaier champion. Let's see. Carlos has a question about the code names that I put in our e-newsletter and on our project progress. So basically, when we have a new product in the works, usually a new game, I put a code name next to it so I can let you know the progress of that game without giving any information away about it. Because I don't discuss which code names are paired with which games, even if I've talked about those games separately. I don't really give any information away about that. The code names are typically hints at what the game might be, but they're typically very subtle and not necessarily misleading, but they might have more than one meaning. So they might not mislead. I don't want to say mislead, but you really can't get full information from those code names. Um, Carlos says, "Is there any significance on the order that you list your games?" Yeah, the order is typically which games or products are further along in the production process. Not necessarily the order that we'll release them, but based on the current trajectory for those games, it's roughly the release order. Good morning, Carlos, Joshua, George, Cynthia from Evil Source. Thanks for dropping in today. Um, let's see, Josh is dropping by for the first time in a while. Chad says, "What is my favorite Pendulum Noble? I like Bulk because of how he refreshes his cards." Yeah, thanks for asking about Pendulum, Chad. I hope you all are having fun with your copies of Pendulum, whether you're playing the real time version, the simultaneous actions, or the untimed version, which also features simultaneous actions. I like the dragon. I forget the dragon's name off the top of my head, but I like dragons. I think his abilities are cool. Yeah, I go with the dragon. I haven't played too many of in the final published version. I haven't played too many of the advanced characters, but because I'm usually teaching the game, but I need to do that. Daniel says, "Hope it's warm in St. Louis because it's snowing here in Canada." Uh, Daniel and Connie are the designers of Chai, a game that I recently mentioned on my YouTube channel or talked about there. Snowing in Canada, Daniel. Now, it did drop in temperature today, but over the last week, it's been very warm here in St. Louis, and it dropped in temperature today. Today feels a lot more like autumn or fall. It's beautiful in St. Louis here right now with the leaves changing colors. Hopefully, it's still beautiful in Canada as well. I love the autumn season. Um, Anywhere where it's kind of the U.S. autumn in Australia right now, I think they have their springtime in Australia. But yeah, I love autumn and fall foliage. George says he had a large tooth pulled out today. Hope you're okay with that, George. That sounds painful. Joe says, "What's the chocolate of the day?" I have two. So some friends were expecting a lot of or hoping for a lot of trick or treaters and did not get them, and so they gave us some of their leftover Halloween candy, and so I have a Reese's pumpkin and a Snickers, which doesn't say Snickers on the front anymore. Apparently, it says satisfies. But yeah, got a Snickers and a Reese's. So one of those will be my chocolate of the day, not both of them. So what is going on today? I'll check back at questions for a minute. So at Stonemaier Games, some things that we've been working on, that I've been working on. I am playtesting. I'm working on some blind playtesting or coordinating some blind playtesting for a product that I won't reveal. And I've been doing some individual playtesting for a multiplayer game. I don't do solo designs, but lately I've been doing the initial playtest for a new product just by myself as I get the mechanisms down, and then I'll bring it to the larger Stonemaier Games group, Joe and Alan and Alex. So working on that. We're also doing final proofreading for a product that will soon go into production. Um, and then yeah, those are the two main things. There's also kind of the Automa team is working on wrapping up a few of the solo variants, solo modes for a few of our products that are getting ready for a 2021 release. So yeah, just a few fun product things in the works. Um, what else is going on? I think those are the main Stomar things going on. I am working on a prototype this afternoon. Oh, and I'm kind of doing some marketing prep for a game that we will be releasing in 2021. So I can't say exactly when yet, but I am very excited about a game that we're releasing in 2021. A couple games that we're releasing in 2021, but one of them that I'm focusing kind of on some behind the scenes marketing efforts right now that will become more apparent early next year. Uh, Also, one game that I wanted to mention, not a game, but kind of a system that's on Kickstarter right now. It's not a Stonemaier Games product, but the artist of Tapestry, Andrew Bosley, is heavily involved in this project called The Wanderer's Guide, which is essentially an illustrated book for people who play RPGs that shows like cities and landscapes and interiors of buildings that you can go into and explore. And they're all with Andrew's beautiful illustrations. I haven't played role playing games in a long time, but as someone who loves world building and exploration, I really want to see what Andrew is doing with this. And I want to support Andrew because I love his work on Tapestry. I love working with Andrew. So those are that is on it launched on Kickstarter yesterday, The Wanderer's Guide. So if you like world building, exploring new worlds, or you like role playing games, I'd highly recommend you check it out. It looks really, really awesome. I have no connection to it other than I like Andrew. I support Andrew. I'll jump back to questions in a second, then I'll come back to some things that I've been talking about at Silmar Games recently, things that I've been playing as well. Joshua says, Happy Veterans Day, and thank you to all the veterans. Do you have any veterans in your life? Yeah, it's a wonderful sentiment, Joshua, supporting the veterans in the U.S. and really for any country, I think. I know we say that about the U.S., but there are lots of different countries with veterans and militaries that hopefully do their best to protect their people and without acts of aggression. I do have some veterans in my life. Some of my cousins are veterans. Both my grandfathers were veterans. Um, oh yeah, I have a younger cousin who's active in the military right now. Yeah, so a few in my life. Yeah. Beth says, are there any Wingspan updates for Nintendo Switch or Android? That's a great question, Beth, but I have no idea. That's up to Monster Couch, the developer. I did ask them recently about Switch because I've been getting that question a lot, but they didn't respond. So I don't know. I assume they'll tell everybody when they tell me or vice versa. Josh says, am I ready for Design Day online? Yeah, so Stonemaier Games usually hosts something called a Design Day where we host designers from around the country, around St. Louis, to bring their playtest and prototype them here in St. Louis at the wonderful Pieces Game Cafe here in St. Louis. However, this year we decided we couldn't responsibly do it. We could be responsible, but we couldn't be fully responsible and accountable for the health of even a smaller design day this year. So it went from 100 people to 40 people, and then we decided we're just going to take it online. So this is only for Design Day attendees. This answer does not apply to everybody here, but I'm mentioning it because next year, if you're interested, you can sign up for our Design Day next year, and hopefully there will be a vaccine and we can get together safely again around this time next year. It's actually usually in September, but we bumped it back this year in the hopes that things would be better. Things apparently seem to be getting worse in terms of the pandemic, though. But yeah, I am excited and curious. So what we're doing for the online version is that designers will have 30 minutes to just share what their game is, maybe show us a few turns on video, and any Design Day participants can chime in and join in and watch this. And if these designers have any questions or they're struggling with anything, they can ask people. So we won't be actually playing games this year like we usually do at Design Day, but we'll have basically a day of game design discussions, which hopefully will be fun. Tim says Canada in November is gray from November through April. Oh, Aaron says there's already blizzards and schools are closed. Wow. Christoph says, do I have any estimate for when the new corrected complete spiral-bound scythe rulebooks will be printed? They're currently being printed, yeah, but the printing process takes a few months. My estimate for when they'll be ready, I think they will arrive at fulfillment centers it's either January or February. The hardcover version is ahead of the spiral-bound pace because we were already had that in the works. But the spiral bound version is still being printed. It hasn't shipped out of China yet. Chad says, given the amount of content in Wingspan Oceania, which components were you most excited for when working with Elizabeth? Um, so yeah, I mean, all these ideas come from Elizabeth. We talk about it from time to time, and I help develop the project, but the core components come from her. So the main additions are the whole Nectar system involves new player mats, new dice. I love new dice. I love custom dice, so I'm definitely excited about that. I think I was the most excited about the new player mats, though, or the Oceania player mats. Again, they don't replace the original player mats. They are just an alternative that you can use when using the Nectar system. But yeah, I think it's a really cool thing to have a new, fresh player mat to play on and experience that. Because that, I mean, that's a core construct of the game, right? You're always using that player mat. So that is one of the things that I really enjoyed in playtesting and in the final version. Vito says, did you ever hear anything back about Libertalia? I've dreamed about a Stonemaier Games production of that game. Thanks, Vito. Yeah, I love the game Libertalia, and it came up. Vito was referring to a few months ago. I mentioned it in one of my top 10 lists, and someone said, I wish I could get this. I wish it could come back in print. Why doesn't Stonemaier Games get the rights to Libertalia? It's a cool idea that we could get the rights to an existing out of print title. It's something that we've never done before. So I'm not sure if that really fits into our model, but it is an intriguing prospect to take a game that I really love, that fits into the Stonemaier Games model, update it, and do our own thing with it. So it's a cool idea. Yeah. Patrick says, when will the shipping of Oceania start in Europe, in your opinion? As we projected, shipping will start in mid-November for all fulfillment centers. Some of them have started a little bit early, and it will continue through early December. So that's my projection for Europe. David says, I'll do a couple questions and I'll come back to my topics here. David says, you have said when you just shuffle all Wingspan cards together. Okay, I think he's referring to the way I play Wingspan is that I shuffle all the cards together. That's one of the ways that you can play. But how do you play that then? Do you just take the top chunk and put them in one of the bird trays, knowing that you yeah, worded a little oddly here, David. But yes, what I do is I shuffle all the cards together and I take one of those decks and I put it on the table and I just ignore all the other stacks of cards because I don't need them. I'm typically playing Wingspan 2-player these days whenever I get to play, so it's just looking at we only need 50 cards maybe at most, and then. Oftentimes, I do still take those cards and kind of shuffle them back together a little bit, but it's not a deep shuffle. I'm not trying to randomize all the cards every time I play because they are ongoing, randomized on an ongoing basis. So my Sunday sit-down video this past week, my longer form video, was about games, intellectual property games that are based on an intellectual property. So I talked about a lot of games, probably more games than I've ever discussed in a list before, because there are a lot of games, solid games, that use intellectual property these days. So if you're interested in that, if you have some favorite IP games, feel free to check out that list. I did have a top 10 in that list, and I discussed a lot of other games that could have been eligible. And I also did a breakdown by some of the biggest IPs, like Star Wars and Marvel and Lord of the Rings, and I picked my favorite from each of those categories. I also did a blog post on Monday about how the car company Tesla updates their cars kind of on an incremental ongoing basis rather than having yearly updates, new models of cars like other car companies do, and parallels to the game industry. So if that's a model that you are interested in and you're curious about how the game industry works in those regards, feel free to check out Monday's blog post. Okay, let's see. Sean says, good news in Australia, 4 days without new cases of COVID. That's awesome, Sean. Definitely the opposite case here in the U.S., but I am very excited. I mean, I am so excited that we have a new president coming into office, and I loved Biden's initial. I love how he's just kind of diving in and starting to work on his pandemic response, and his initial speech about COVID and what he's hoping to do and planning to do and starting to do gave me a lot of hope because it was a very direct speech about what we need to do to prevent the spread of COVID. it was what I've been hoping for the last 10 months from Trump, and we got it from Biden on the first day. It was awesome. So I don't know if you've seen that speech, but or even the text of it, but it was awesome and hearty. It gave me hope for how we're going to be able to approach COVID in a few months when Biden actually comes into office. Chad says, what would we need to do as a community that would convince you to grow a mustache for Movember? Chad, that's a great question. That's a fun question. I actually tried doing that almost 10 years ago now. And the results were disturbing and quite unfortunate. So facial hair is not something that I can grow well. It just looks bad and creepy. And so as fun as it would be, it is a really bad idea for me to try that. So I hope you were having fun with a Movember mustache to support testicular cancer awareness for men, but it's not something that is a good idea for me to pursue. I've learned from experience the hard way. Marco says, when can we have a copy of the new Wingspan expansion in Spanish? That's a great question, Marco, for Maldito, our partner in Spain. It's up to them. I believe they were a part of the first international print run of the game, but their release timing is entirely up to Maldito. Justin says, with all the U.S. political talk lately, I was curious, I was just giving some political talk. He says, I was curious if you feel that federal level politics impacts Stonemaier Games much, or Stonemaier Games generally hasn't felt much impact from that. I mean, the biggest things that Trump did that could have impacted us were tariffs. But fortunately, games didn't fit into that category. Tabletop games didn't fit into that category. Otherwise, it would have been really bad because I don't know. It's somewhere along the line, someone would have seen a significant increase in cost or price. Our game prices probably would have gone up, and because of our income and costs would have gone way up too. So that's the main way that I've seen it so far. But it didn't really have an impact on board games, tabletop games. Cynthia says, have I tried the new Rogers of the Ganges roll and write on yukata.de? We haven't tried that. No, I haven't tried that. No, I actually have never played anything on Yukata. I've gotten really into Board Game Arena, but I haven't tried Yukata. I do love Rogers of the Ganges, and so I need to try that roll and write. And it's exciting to hear that it's on Yukata. So I'll have to try that. Thank you for the recommendation. Or not recommendation yet. You said you haven't. Oh no, have you tried it? Have you tried it, Cynthia? Yeah, let me know what you think. Patrick says, is there a game mechanism like follow mechanisms or deck building, or game type like bluffing, social deduction, or epic cooperative that you haven't used in a game that you are just dying to attempt? Definitely, Patrick. Yeah, absolutely. I actually did a list recently that will go live in a few weeks on Sunday, which is a video about my top 12 favorite game mechanisms and my favorite game in each of those categories. And I realized as I was making that list that I haven't used, I think there are like half of those mechanisms that I haven't used in my games at this point. So there are around 6 mechanisms, core mechanisms that I really, really love that I want to use in our games in the future. Yeah. Tim says, Wednesday mornings are one of the highlights of my week. Oh, thank you, Tim. He became a fan the night his mom died earlier this year. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Tim. Today is the anniversary of her car accident, so I needed this. Oh, Tim, my heart goes out to you there. I'm so sorry to hear that, but I hope not that anything can replace your mother at all, and not that anything should. But I hope this podcast, this video cast, and other things today can bring you a little bit of joy on this hard anniversary, this difficult anniversary. So thanks for joining me today. Yeah. Some games that I played recently. I played Cooper Island last night for the first time. I played Beyond the Sun for the first time just a few days ago and really loved it. Also really loved my first play of The King is Dead, which I played this past weekend. And I played Clank. I played one of the Clank expeditions, the Dwarven Miner expedition, which was really cool. I really, really liked that. I also played Isle of Skye for the first time in a long time, Shipwreck Arcana for the first time in a long time, and Raiders of the North Sea digital version for the first time in a long time, or the first time with the digital version. And I really, really liked the digital version. They did a great job with that, with the Raiders of the North Sea digital version I played on Steam. Really, really solid implementation. Daniel says, what gets you more excited when starting a design? A neat mechanism, a fresh theme, or something else? I mean, it really depends. I do get excited about, like I just mentioned, I get really excited about certain mechanisms to sit down and work with a theme that I haven't, or a mechanism that I haven't worked with before is really exciting to me. A fresh theme is also really exciting to me, and the something else can often be either a world or certain art that I'm building a game around, like I did with Scythe. That is really exciting for me to do as well. So I don't. It's hard for me to rank that. It really depends on what the mechanism, the theme, or the world or art is. Yeah. Tyson says that the Stonemaier games stopped shipping to South Africa fairly recently. And yeah, unfortunately, there are a few places that we have found that our shipping success rate is so low to ship from our different fulfillment centers that it is not a good idea for us to continue to ship to those regions for now. We are hoping that those shipping from the U.S. to those different areas can improve over time, but currently that is not the case. It's mostly South Africa and South America, unfortunately. But Tim says he has had success for orders shipped via DHL. So maybe I'll look into that, Tim. If you've had success with DHL, I will see if DHL is something that our fulfillment center in the U.S. uses or can use. So I appreciate that recommendation. Obi says, yeah, Obi, I actually saw your post on the Wingspan group the other day. That was awesome. I appreciate your enthusiasm. He says he got his Wingspan Oceania copy a couple days ago, and he's in London. He says he really enjoys the Champions subscription. What new game am I really looking forward to? What new game am I? Well, I think so. I have a couple games I'm really looking forward to. I have Pandemic Legacy Season 0 in Shrink. I have the new Time Stories module in Shrink. I'm really excited to get that to the table. And I've heard that the Tidal Blades has started shipping, so I'm really excited about that too. Let me see if there's any other games. I have my shelf of games that I haven't played is in a different room. Um, oh, I have the Star Wars Unlock is over there. I'm really excited about that, and I have one of the new Clank Adventuring Party expansion. I'm really excited to play that as well. So quite a bit of like big titles right there that I'm pretty excited about. And I'm glad you're enthusiastic about the Wingspan Oceania expansion, which I am also very excited about. Josh says, have I thought about maybe doing some sort of charity event where people can donate to play a game with you, like Wingspan Digital? Josh says, I love the sentiment behind that idea. I have found that I don't. So very early on in some of our games, I had a reward level on the first viticulture campaign that was like play a game with me, pay X amount, pay $100, get a copy of viticulture, and you get to play a game with me, and I'll teach you how to play. And I realized after doing that it didn't feel good at all because I want to play games with everybody and anybody. Everyone is welcome at my table, and especially when I go to conventions, I want to play games with a wide variety of people, and I don't want anyone to feel like they have like I'm just a normal person like anybody else. I don't want anyone to feel like I am someone special to play a game with, and I don't want to make someone feel weird if they paid to play a game with me and then I play with a dozen other people who don't play a game, who don't pay. That feels weird to me as well. So I love the idea of on occasion playing games with just random people or specific people online, and if they want to donate to a charity to do that, but I wouldn't associate any exchange of money with playing a game with me. Currently, I do play games on a somewhat regular, well, not regular, regimented basis where I have a few game nights where I play games, typically with my friends. But what I should do, and I need to do this at some point, is just designate a time that I can play with Stonemaier fans, so people who like the things that I make and that type of thing, and just online. This would be online. So I like the sentiment behind that idea that I should just set maybe an hour on a certain day each week where a few people can play games with me, and that would be really awesome to do. So I love that idea. I will think about that and think about if there's a way that I can make that happen while still. I think the danger here is that I can't spend all my time playing games, right? So I have to balance the idea of playing games with progressing Stonemaier games, working on Stonemaier games stuff. So that's a tricky balance here. Longer answer than I think you were expecting here, but I love the sentiment. Thank you for that idea. Tim says, do I have any favorite new birds? He's liking the little penguin with its fishing power and the birds that give you nectar when your neighbor has some. What are some of my new bird abilities? I talked about a few in the design diary post. Um, I'd have to pull them up. Let's see. Wingspan Oceania birds. I can pull a few of them up here. Okay, so I'm looking at some of the birds I highlighted during the marketing. Yeah, the little penguin is cool. I love the end of game powers. I like knowing something that I need to plan ahead for the entire game. That is really helpful for me. Um, the pukeko lays an egg on an adjacent bird. I think that's cool. I like positive player interaction, so there are some birds that have positive player interaction. Uh, let's see. Oh, there's some that deal with big like when played powers. Like there's one, the stubble quail says discard up to 6 food tokens, lay 1 egg on this bird for each discarded food. I kind of like that. I like these kind of exciting when played abilities. That's a lot of fun to me. And here's a few. Here's the little penguin that you mentioned. The brown kiwi says discard a bonus card. If you do, draw 4 bonus cards, keep 2, and discard the other 2. That's cool. So you can get a bonus card out of your hand that you're not really using, that you don't really need, and you get more bonus cards. That's fun. I like having those little goals to plan ahead to. Plan ahead for. One fun little thing that I want to let you know, I guess I did a video last week about sumo wrestling, my favorite game mechanism in grand sumo tournaments. And I positioned that video at that specific time because in Japan they do a grand sumo tournament every other month, and the latest tournament just started in November. So if you're curious about sumo, I would highly recommend checking out Google Grand Sumo Awesome, and it'll come up with a daily highlights video, a 30-minute highlights video that goes over that day's action. And it's really really cool to see the structure of the format, the structure of the tournament, the format, and the different wrestlers, sumo wrestlers who, their different styles of fighting, and it's a really really cool sport that I didn't know much about. Even though I studied abroad in Japan and attended a tournament there, I didn't really know what was going on until recently, when a friend Eric told me more about it. And it's just awesome to watch. So if you're curious, watch my video last week on Friday about sumo wrestling, and if you're intrigued, there's a link there to go to the Grand Sumo tournament page to check that out. At least I think there's a link there. There should be, or I forgot to put the link there. Also, fun TV that I just started watching. I'm still watching Legend of Korra, which I'm loving. So good during lunch, and then at dinner, our new show is The Boys. We just started watching The Boys, and I love the first episode. Very dark, but really interesting take on superheroes. That's on Amazon Prime. Jacques says, "Do I still have any in-person game nights? And if so, what are the protocols you follow to keep you and your guests safe?" So, Jacques, yeah, that's a good question. We haven't done in-person game nights in a long time, unfortunately. Those were usually between 8 and 10, maybe sometimes a little bit more, a little bit less, a little fewer people. What we have been doing is, if we have a specific game to play or play test, I have been getting together in very small groups, and we all wear masks the whole time. If someone needs to take a drink, they usually go outside for a few minutes and drink water or whatever they're drinking. So we have done that a few times. That's what we did with Cooper Island last night. 4 of us. We played. We wore masks. We washed our hands carefully afterwards. We did it. We did a similar thing this weekend for Beyond the Sun. And then we also had, while sometimes the weather is nice here in St. Louis. It was very nice this weekend. We had an outdoor game day where we played outside, played with a few more people than just 4 people, and we all wore masks the whole time, except for when we were eating, when we kind of socially distanced and ate a little bit, and then came back together and wore masks. So we're wearing masks the entire time, and keeping the group small is basically the protocols that we're following. Chris says, "Do you have a particular favorite designer? Is there anyone that you can almost guarantee that you will love their games even before playing them?" Well, I love the designers that we work with at Stonemaier Games. Ben and Matthew, Elizabeth, Travis, Hobie, some of my co-designers, Kai and Ryan, and some that you'll hear about next year. Love all of them. I also love the work of Alexander Pfister, Uwe Rosenberg, Inka and Marcus Brand, I think are brilliant. I do have a video about like my top 10 favorite game designers. That video is maybe a little old at this point. I might need to update it because I do love like Keith Matesha. I love him, and his work is awesome. Um, Rob Davio, awesome designer, fantastic designer, Rob Davio. Uh, However, your question actually, Chris, was interesting. You said, "Is there anyone that you can almost guarantee you will love their games even before playing them?" I don't actually know there is a designer who is just guaranteed that I would love their game. Probably the closest is Uwe Rosenberg. I like pretty much anything Uwe Rosenberg makes. But for a lot of these other designers, I'm always fascinated by what they do. But that doesn't mean that I necessarily enjoy every game they make. I have a lot of respect for the different techniques they use in their games, and generally their games resonate with me. Yeah. Do you have any like that? And Chris, and anyone watching this, do you have a designer where, without fail, you have liked every one of their games, or maybe like 9 times out of 10, you like every one of their games? I'd love to hear your thoughts about that because I think there is a difference between loving a designer and being always interested or open to their games and always liking their games. I'm sure that maybe goes the case for my games too. Those of you who are watching are probably fans of Stonemaier games. There might be games of mine that you like and some that you don't like, and that's totally okay. I think different designers have different styles, and different designers go out of their comfort zone to different lengths. So certain designers might kind of do the same type of game over and over again, and that can be fun. Actually, no, I can't get that example because that changes. I was going to say Matt Leacock, but even Matt Leacock has branched well outside Pandemic into very different styles of games. Yeah, I don't know. I like designers that stretch themselves, and I also like designers that specialize and go deep in a certain type of game. Hans says, any news on the deck building idea you had? Something more concrete. Um, it is still developing. It's interesting to have a game in progress, a brainstorming a game in progress with a mechanism that is so widely used because I keep seeing other designers do cool stuff with it that gives me other ideas. So like even with deck building recently, Dune Imperium and Lost Ruins of Arnak both do really cool things with deck building and worker placement that haven't quite been done before. And Viscounts of the West Kingdom too. It's kind of inspiring for me to see these other designers do these interesting things with that mechanism, giving me more ideas as my game is still very pliable, very in the brainstorming stage. Georgie says, a lot of your games require players to manage resources within an internal game economy. Can you recommend a good source that could help a new game designer develop economies in their games? Any general game design sources that you use personally? Georgia, yeah, that's a great question. So I would recommend going on Stonemaier Games and looking at the how to design a tabletop game page because that has not necessarily specifically about economic games, but it has a lot of resources that can tie back to that topic. Also, I think I do have a video about games with closed economies. I think there's a video about that. So if you look on my board game design YouTube channel and look for closed economies, yeah, I actually do have a video about that. It's closed and interdependent economies. Then you can see a bunch of examples of games that do that, and that might give you some ideas as well. I think I'm done with all of my topics today. I'll just refresh real quick in case anyone wants me to revisit these. But I talked about a few things that we're doing at Stonemaier Games right now, proofreading, playtesting, things like that. I mentioned The Wanderer's Guide, a project by Andrew Bosley, the artist of Tapestry. I mentioned my Sunday Sit video about intellectual property games. I talked about my blog post on Monday about how Tesla has incremental updates to their games, to their cars, and how that might compare to games. I talked about some games that I've been playing recently, how sumo wrestling is back now. The Grand Sumo Tournament is live right now. And if you're curious about why I'm interested in that, you can check out my video on my game design channel last Friday, and how I just started watching the Amazon Prime show, The Boys. So I'll spend the rest of my time here just answering your questions and discussing anything that you want to talk about. Tom says, I'm usually the rules reader or video watcher and teacher for our group. It's been a while, and last night I just couldn't organize thoughts and communicate the rules effectively. Any suggestions for keeping teaching muscles ready to go? Yeah, that's a good question. I guess that we have kind of gotten out of the hot habit of doing that with our different game nights changing over the last 10 months. Any suggestions for keeping teaching muscles? Well, you can teach games online, so you could just make sure that once a week you teach somebody a game online. You could pop in on some of your favorite games, Facebook groups or Board Game Geek, and say, hey, I love this game. I want to share it with you. I'm going to be online at this time this week to teach this game. Beyond that, if as you I think are learning games and learning the rules for games, you can also constantly be thinking about how am I going to teach this, and you can even set up the game and kind of walk yourself through a few steps in the game to get that keep those muscles fresh. But you're right. I mean, I've been out of practice of doing that as well. I had to teach Isle of Skye this past weekend and Shipwreck Arcana, and it was the first time I taught them in a long time, so I had to stumble through it a little bit. But I think just doing it is the way to keep that muscle fresh, whether you're doing it for a lot of people or just yourself. George says, "Have I seen Rift Knights from Ryan Lockett on Kickstarter?" Oh, I didn't know that Andrew Bosley did the art for that. That's really cool. Usually, Ryan does his own art, so I have seen that, but I didn't realize that Andrew did the art for that. Thanks for sharing that, George. Let's see. Tim says worker placement and tile placement games are our favorite. After watching your latest videos, I'm very interested in Lords of Waterdeep, Dinosaur Island, Mountains of Madness, and Calico. Not quite sure where to start. Very different games there, Tim. I can say that of those games, Lords of Waterdeep is the one, I believe it's in my current top 10. It's probably my favorite of those, but lots of great games there. Dinosaur Island, beautiful game. Lots of tile placement choices in that one. Mountains of Madness is not a tile placement game, but it's a zany game. I wouldn't say it's worker placement or tile placement though. And Calico is very much tile placement. It is a very, I would say, well, not difficult. In Calico, it's a tricky thing because it is so visually satisfying, and the mechanisms are so simple, but it is very difficult to accomplish all the different goals that seem very easy when you start the game in Calico. But I do recommend really any of those games for different reasons. I think are worth checking out. But Lords of Waterdeep, especially since you can play that, you can test it out on Steam. I would maybe recommend starting there. Ricardo says, can you please ask Genos Italia why they won't translate the Plans Employees expansion? I mean, my guess there, Ricardo, is that Tapestry didn't sell as well for them as they hoped it would. They for any international partner or in Stonemaier Games, if you're going to do 1,000 unit is the minimum. If you're going to do 1,000 unit print run of an expansion, you need to make sure there's 1,000 people who are willing to buy it, who want to buy it. So maybe that isn't the case for Tapestry in Italy, unfortunately. Donna, a few people, George and Tim said they'd like to play a game with me sometime, based on the Josh's idea. Donna says, "What did you choose to play last weekend? Time Stories or Pandemic Season Zero?" Oh yeah, Donna, we talked about Time Stories last week. Donna says we finished Midsummer and was impressed. Definitely harder than the previous Time Stories module. Based on what Donna said. Donna, we actually didn't end up playing any because we had a big game day on Saturday because the weather was so beautiful, and then I played Beyond the Sun on Sunday. And so this weekend we'll probably do Time Stories if I can convince Megan to do it, or not convince her. If Megan wants to do it, I will gladly play Time Stories Midsummer with her this weekend. Although this weekend will be a little tough because I have the design day on Sunday, so it would be probably a Saturday thing if we do it at all. Probably start with that and then jump into Pandemic Legacy Season Zero after that. John says, "I'm sure this has been covered before, but will the future expansions of Wingspan require the Oceania player boards?" Nope. No, each expansion, just our general expansion model is that no expansion relies on you to have any other expansion. So it would, and this is one of the real big reasons that the original Wingspan boards are very important and relevant, because you will use them with all the future expansions. It is possible, slim possibility, that there will be birds in other countries that we think just thematically need to have nectar on them. And so if we do that, then we'll say we would just make it a few birds from those countries, and we would say if you play with these birds, you'll need to use all the nectar stuff that comes in Oceania, or you just ignore these birds as you draw them if you don't have that stuff. But we'll probably only do that with, if at all, with a very few cards from each region. Cynthia says that looks like R&R is making a printed version for the U.S. of the Rogers of the Ganges roll and write. I'll definitely have to check that out. Wam says, "New games, no universe of Scythe." I think maybe you were saying, do you plan on doing any new games in the universe of Scythe? I am intrigued by that prospect. I have said, and I'm sticking to it, that the Scythe saga, the Scythe story itself inside the tabletop game is done and over and is complete. But I love the world that Jakob created, and I would love to explore other parts of that world or other time periods of that world. So I'm certainly open to that, designing a completely new game in that world. Hans has a similar question, similar question there. A few people comment on the boys. Oh, Keith is here. Yeah, Keith, I love your work. Whether you're the designer or the publisher, um, Keith is behind Thunderworks Games that publishes Role Player. Cartographer is one of my favorite games. Role Player also one of my favorite games. Yeah, awesome work from Keith. I actually just got my Cartographer's Pledge Manager the other day, and for the first time, Keith, this is the first timer for me. For the first time ever in a Pledge Manager, I added something to it. Usually, I'm happy with what I backed, but in the Pledge Manager, I really wanted one of those new maps, so I added. I think the Underworld one I added. Jeremy says, I'll read the full comment here. This is Jeremy's opinion. The New Zealand brown kiwi was clearly the best choice for the cover bird on the Oceania expansion. I will debate that in a second. Was there any consideration about using a New Zealand bird for the main image or providing an alternative cover for us ridiculously patriotic New Zealanders? Not an alternative cover. No, we didn't consider that. The kiwi did make it onto the box. It's just on the side of the box, but we decided to put a bird whose wings were open because the name of the game is Wingspan, and kiwis don't really they have vestigial wings at best. They have tiny little wings. They don't really use their wings. Um, so there were a few New Zealand birds that we did consider it, and I was definitely biased there because I have visited New Zealand more recently than I visited Australia and paid a lot of attention to the birds while I was there. But we decided to go with a bird that we thought was maybe the best known of that region in general, not just New Zealand. Yeah. So I'm sorry that you didn't get a Kia, for example, on the cover, but yeah. But you do get a couple birds on the side, like the little blue penguin and the kiwi. Nate says, "What are my thoughts on Cooper Island? The game that I just played last night?" Um, he says he just received it and he wants to get it to his table. Is it fairly easy to learn? Uh, I would say it is. We had a good teach. Josh did a great job teaching us. I would say that my brain was really churning for like the first hour as I was trying to grok what the different mechanisms were, how they came together, what my different choices were, the implications of those choices. Uh, I think it's a solid game. It's a little heavier than the type of game that I would normally play, and there are a lot of different paths to points. I don't know. It's again. I'm still kind of wrapping my mind around. Uh, I gave it a 7 out of 10. 7 is a solid score that I give on Boarding Geek to games that I respect and enjoy, but probably won't necessarily play again. But if you like heavy games, if you like Vitalis Serta's games, um, for example, I think you will really enjoy Cooper Island. And I think there are a lot of clever mechanisms. As I was creating my list for the video that I'm going to do on my favorite mechanism, I came up with 4 mechanisms right off the top of my head that were really clever. It's just a little heavier than the type of game that I would normally play multiple times. Yeah. Zach says, "What are my thoughts on the West Kingdom Tama Saga and North Sea Rune Saga?" Oh, it's not Tama Saga, it's Tome Saga, of course, and Rune Saga. Do you think making an expansion to connect multiple games can work well? I think it can, although it does. I just mentioned that our philosophy of expansions is that each one operates independently of it. I think the closest that we've done with this is Scythe. Like Scythe essentially has a trilogy of expansions that are independent of each other, but can be played in a series with each other. And Rise of Fenris kind of combines them all together. It brings in different things at different times thematically as well. So essentially, we've done this with the Scythe trilogy of expansions, but they still operate independently, which is, although I guess this is a little different with these, because these are completely independent games that are attached through Tome Saga and Rune Saga. Similar along the lines of the Scythe expansions, but with independent games. Chris says, oh, Chris actually mentions Shem Phillips as well as a designer that he is always excited about, and that he'll always love his games. Shem does awesome work, especially with worker placement. I love what he does with worker placement. Oh, Joe is here from the Wanderer's Guide. I think Joe has been working with with Andrew for the Wanderer's Guide. He says, "Have I ever played an RPG before, and is playing an RPG something that you're interested in?" Kind of, Joe. That's a good question. So I have played this years ago when I was maybe 12 or 13. I played a few sessions of the Star Wars RPG, which I thought was really cool. Since then, the closest I've gotten, I think, is one session of Fiasco that I didn't really love. I didn't really enjoy it. I needed a little bit more structure. Um, I would say, for me, Joe, that I am interested in playing an RPG at some point, but one with maybe a little bit more structure, maybe a little bit of a twist, like 11 Candles, I think is the name of a game that has an interesting twist with candles. Um, and the visuals, I think, in the Wanderer's Guide would definitely help me. Give me some sort of visual, some sort of concrete thing that I can use to determine where we are, what we're doing. And the other thing for me is that I probably would want to do a one-off session, or maybe a very short session, one where I'm just building a little bit of a character and going ahead and playing with that character for one session, rather than having a long ongoing campaign. I understand that that's a big part of the draw of RPGs, having a longer campaign, but I don't necessarily want to commit time to it at this point, especially since I have some other campaign games that I want to get to the table. So a one-off RPG experience is something that I would gravitate more towards at this point. Yeah. Do you have any that you would recommend, Joe, that kind of fit into those categories that I just mentioned? Josh says, "Have I played Among Us? Is it more tabletop game or video game?" I have not played Among Us. I've seen what it is. I'm aware of what it is. It's a kind of a social deduction game, a hidden role social deduction game. Uh, I have not played it. I should probably play it, but no, I haven't played it yet. I'm intrigued by it. It looks, based on some of the systems that I think would be difficult to track in tabletop form, I think it is more of a digital game. And it is also literally a video game. Tim says, "Do you ever find a game that you wish wasn't so heavy?" He says, "I saw a video on Tricarion. It looks like an interesting concept, but I'm afraid my group will find it too much." Tim, yeah, I think about that all the time with games, because I am my sweet spot for games is kind of a 90-minute, maybe 2 hour uh, mid-weight Euro game. That's my sweet spot. And so there are some games that maybe add just too many layers, too many phases, too many bonus actions, too many maybe convoluted paths to victory instead of a slightly more straightforward path to victory to take. Um, and oftentimes with these complex games, there's a lot to remember. The game is constantly acting like reminding you to remember things, or relying on you to remember certain rules that aren't evident in the user space. Um, Cooper Island actually did a good job at that, but it's almost information overload thing, because Cooper Island has a really good player mat that reminds you of everything, but then everything is right there on the player mat. But I'm trying to think of an example of a game that I wish was just a little bit lighter, and that I would like it more. I actually do like Tricarion, based on the spell books. I think the spell books are really, really cool at Tricarion. Um, what is a heavier game that I wish was just a little bit lighter, a little bit more streamlined, a little bit better flow? I can't think of anything off the top of my head, Tim, but I'm sure some will come to mind. That's a good question. I'll think about that. Ashley says, "Have I ever done a list of my most played games?" Which would have to be from memory, because no, I don't track my plays. Even if Ashley says, "Even if I haven't played it recently, I know I've played Puerto Rico many, many times. Same with Dominion." My most played. Have I done a video? Ashley, I don't know if I've done a video about my most played games, but let me see. Let me look on YouTube real quick to see if I have. I've done so many videos at this point that I don't remember all the ones that I have or haven't done. I feel like I did do something like this. Most played. Most played. I do have a video on this. I'll post it here. I'll post it in the comments below, actually, and then I'll try to scroll back up. Okay, so this is a video about my most played games. Okay, that's Ashley's comment. Rafal says, "I love listening to your weekly livecast. I wish other designers did them too. What are your favorite fiction books that are from the fantasy science fiction genre? And what are my favorite nonfiction books?" That's a big question, Rafal. I do, on my personal blog, jamiestegmeyer.com, I do a top 10 list every year of my favorite books. Nonfiction books, there are a few business books that I really like. Off the top of my head, I am blanking on them, though, because I don't often read nonfiction. Um, I do read mostly fantasy, science fiction. And what are a few of my favorites? I love the Acacia series from David Anthony Durham. Really love that. I love pretty much everything that Brandon Sanderson writes. In fact, and somewhat there, unlike board games, there are authors that I am auto buy off. I automatically buy what they write. So actually, I mentioned a few of them here because I can bring that up pretty easily. There are a few authors that I, instantly when I hear that they have a new product coming out, I'm in. Um, so I look at digital orders. I read on a Kindle, so I can pretty easily look at the ones that I like. Max Berry a lot. I think he writes great fiction. Uh, I'm reading. This is actually a game gamer who is also an author, Adrian Tchaikovsky. The book that I'm reading right now is The Doors of Eden. It's excellent. He's an awesome author. Um, Becky Chambers is fantastic, fantastic sci-fi from Becky Chambers. She has a series called the Wayfarers series that I would highly recommend. Ernst Klein, I do like his work. He did Ready Player One. Didn't like his next book as much, but it's just kind of popcorn fiction. Really, really good. Scrolling down here, looking at other ones. R.F. Kuang writes a series called The Poppy War. That's excellent. Really, really enjoy that. Evan Winter is a kind of a new favorite author of mine. I really enjoy his first book in the Burning series, and the second book just came out. And I know there are a few others that I'm missing here. Brandon Sanders, Ali Bardugo, fantastic author. I like actually a number of different books in her different series. That's Lee Bardugo. But yeah, check out if you look at look at jamiestegmeyer.com and search for like favorite books. You'll see a bunch of different lists there. Sean says, "Have I read Superpowered?" I haven't. No, is that a graphic novel or a book? Joshua says, "I just listened to the Plaid Hat Games podcast about rulebook design with guest Rodney Smith. They discussed a lot of different aspects about they had a great discussion about a lot of aspects, including whether rulebooks should favor the game hobbyist through thoroughness or the potential new gamer, short and not overwhelming. I definitely favor an easy onboarding process, um, uh, whether it's an experienced gamer or not experienced gamer. And I'm okay with adding well, I think it's either way. I think it's important to have a lot of good examples, a lot of good visuals. But as you can probably tell from Tapestry, I do like shorter rulebooks that you get you into the game very quickly and easily. And if you want to add thoroughness, have an appendix or a quick reference guide, things like that. Yeah. Jason says, "Could I turn on live captioning, closed captioning on my weekly podcast?" I don't know. I've never done that. Let's see how I can do that. Is there? Is this something? Maybe it's something that you can do. Um, I'll have to look into that. Viewing. Let's see. Auto-generated captions can let more people follow along. Let's see if this works. Hopefully this won't shut down the video. We'll find out. I'm going to turn on auto-generated captions. Let's see how that does. Video seems to still be working, so I think we're okay there. Let me know how that goes, anyone who's watching this on Facebook. This will be on YouTube later, and I assume the captions won't be available there. Paul says, what's my favorite card game? He says he loves Abandon All Artichokes, Port Royale, and some of the great 18-card Button Shy games. Yeah, card-only games, Button Shy does them really well. Magic the Gathering is definitely up there. Keyforge. I really love Hierarchy from Button Shy. Really, really love that. Tussie Mussy also from Button Shy. Really like that. Airland and Sea is excellent. Hanami Koji, mostly cards. It does use tokens a little bit, but it's mostly cards. I really love that as well. A lot of my two-player games here fit into this category. Like Seven Wonders Duel is, yeah, I think it's pretty much just cards. You do use some money in it, but it's mostly cards. And lots of deck-building games pretty much only use cards. Shards of Infinity would be one of them. Although there is a little player tracker thing. I mean, a lot of my games like feature cards. The Mind has mostly cards. The Crew is mostly cards. A lot of these games are mostly cards, but maybe they have a little bit of components in them too, a few other components. Zachary says, "Can I comment on the viticulture expansion?" I can just say that we are working on a viticulture expansion. That's what I can say at this point, Zachary. Dick says, "Do you keep track of how your own English versions do compared to local language versions? If yes, are there any surprises that you found?" So kind of. I mean, I only have some information. I have the information of how many localized versions we print. I don't know how many are actually sold because that's handled by localization partners, but hopefully they sell through most of them. So I do track on an ongoing basis how many copies of games that we're making for the English versions and the localized versions because we handle all of that production ourselves. Uh, you asked, are there any surprises? Not really. I mean, the ratios generally stay the same. I mean, Wingspan and Scythe have both been anomalies in terms of game production, where we make so many copies of those in English and in other languages, but we do still make way more English units than any other language and all other languages combined. Lise says, will there be a new big box for Wingspan after a couple years after all the expansions? Yeah, so Lisa, I've talked a little bit about the big box. What we're doing is we are working on a big box now that is designed to fit all Wingspan content, past and future. The box itself won't come with any gameplay content in it. It'll just be a big box and an organizer, a modular organizer that will be ready to hold all that content. So our goal is just to make one big box that people can trust will hold all Wingspan content that we will make through all of time. So there will be a lot of room for cards in this box, basically. Chad says, "Have I seen the new pop-up terrain system called Upzone on Kickstarter? It's basically boards that have pop-up buildings for RPGs. You think this is something that you could use in board games?" Possibly. No, I haven't seen that yet, but yeah, I could certainly see that being used in board games. Like I just did a video the other day on Cult Express that hasn't gone live yet, but I love how Cult Express has this 3D element to it, and they go beyond just the terrain, which is the functional part of it, but they're also little cactuses or cacti that you put around it just for the setting. So I like how that kind of sets the mood for the game, even though it does increase the setup time a little bit. Joshua says, "If I played Noctiluca, a very different type of game from Shem Phillips." I have not. I've seen it, but I have not played that. Zach mentioned earlier that the Rune Saga and Tome Saga, how that they interconnect the Garp Hill games, and Zach had a great point that the Century series of games also does that. Here's Joe's answer to my question to him about RPGs, and his question to me as well. He says, he's new to RPGs myself, and The Wanderer's Guide is a product I wanted to exist to start playing, and it didn't exist, and now it will. He says he's been playing D&D 5th edition for a few months now as a DM, and I love the idea of a long campaign and deep storytelling and character development because I don't get that itch scratched with board games. For a good one-off session, I think John Gilmore's Kids on Bikes might scratch that itch in a good way, or Mouse Guard based on story rather than combat. I really like that because I'm okay with the choice of combat in games, but I really like having many other choices, many different ways to deal with things when I have a dangerous or potentially dangerous encounter. I also like the idea that not everyone I encounter in a game is an enemy. That seems to happen way too often in like dungeon crawl games and even role playing games that I hear about, where everything is based around the idea that everyone is trying to kill you, which simply is not the case in most worlds, I think. That Mouse Guard sounds really, really cool. I'll have to look up Mouse Guard after I get off this. And Kids on Bikes. But Mouse Guard sounds a little bit more fantasy, which excites me. Although I do like, John Gilmore is an awesome designer, so I need to check out Kids on Bikes as well. Tim mentioned his question about heavy games that I wish were a little bit more streamlined. And Tim says that I mentioned that about Teotihuacan, and that is definitely true. He says, like you, I enjoyed Tzolk'in. And yeah, I love Tzolk'in so much, but I haven't entirely wanted to return multiple times, even though I have played Teotihuacan multiple times. It isn't a game that I gravitate towards in the way that I gravitate constantly towards Tzolk'in. I will always play Tzolk'in. I love that game. Andrew mentions that Brandon Sanderson's new book, Rhythm of War, in the Stormlight Archives is being released next week. And yeah, I am super, super excited about that. I have to finish another book before then, and I have to decide if I want to read the Evan Winters book in the Burning series before I do that, which will be a tough choice because I really am excited about that book. Let's see here. Tim says, have I considered writing a novel? I have written a novel. Yeah, I have written one. It is not published, but I did write one and went through several stages of beta testing for it. This was back in 2012, but I haven't really done anything with it. Someday I'll probably return to it because I do love writing fiction. Tim says that his third poetry collection releases next month. Congrats, that's awesome, Tim. That's really cool. Sean says that Superpowered is a book series by Drew Hayes, and there are 4 books. It's similar to My Hero Academia. I didn't check that out. Sounds like it's up my alley. Superheroes and My Hero Academia. I like the idea of a uh, Harry Potter for superheroes. Sounds cool. All right, let's see. Getting close to the end here. Michael says, I heard a rumor about a Breath of the Wild inspired game in the works. Any more details on that? So, Michael, yeah, I have been working on an open world exploration game, cooperative game, for quite some time now. I probably will continue working on it for quite some time. And it is inspired by the sense of open world exploration and discovery in Zelda Breath of the Wild. It is not inspired by Zelda specifically, rather Breath of the Wild specifically in terms of the open world there. Danny says, when do you consider it's a good time for a game to leave your collection? Yeah, I actually did this recently, Danny. I picked a few games from my collection that I just didn't think I would get back to the table for a long, long time, and I gave them randomly to some Stonemaier champions who are looking for some fun games to play. So that's how every now and then I just look at my collection. I'm like, it's starting to pile up. It's not quite fitting onto my shelves anymore, and I'm probably not going to play this game for a long, long time. So I try to give it to someone who is excited to play it. I think we're right at the end here. Good timing for questions to wrap up. Thank you so much for joining me this Wednesday. I'll be back next Wednesday as usual. And if you think of a question after you watch this, just go to YouTube. I'm going to put this video up on YouTube right now, and I'm happy to engage in the comments there well into the future. As long as you have a question there, I'm happy to answer it. Take care and have a great Wednesday and a great week. I'll see you next week.